And from Bon Jovi, welcome Tico Torres. It's good to have you back.
Thank you, nice to be here.
A new album out there as well, and a very, very successful album in Lost Highway. I want to ask you firstly about, what a surprise the new record was, because it was a change of direction with genre, dabbling in the alt country mode, I guess. Some critics have called it. It was really a testament to that genre, though. I know you've dabbled with country in the past, but was this a deliberate, let's go in and do a country record?
The deliberate part was, we had success with Who Says You Can't Go Home, and subsequently a really big success. We were kind of shocked. And apparently, in the States, we crossed over to country radio, and it's never been done, in bands in our genre. So we said, you know what, we've always gone down to Nashville to do recordings and bits and pieces with other people and stuff. Let's go down there and have some fun with it. And it turned out to be the more we did the record, it turned out to be more of a record. And it started surprising us that instead of being a whim, it became a real record. And so we had fun doing half of it there, half of it in LA, two different producers. And still retain the Bon Jovi feel, would have a little bit, change the instrumentation a little bit. And that gives it that little countryish flair, which, crosses over into a whole nother market. But we had no idea it was going to be successful like this. We were planning to have more time off. Thus, the record did really well everywhere, and that's why we're back on tour so quickly. Yeah,
I guess there were a few cynics in the US when the record came out that said that it was a very calculated effort on Bon Jovi's part, putting out a country record because country records are the records that record buyers still buy. How do you respond to that criticism?
There's a few of them left that still buy records. I think we're last with the pioneers of record selling, and I think it's going into a whole other direction where you could actually have a hard copy anymore. As far as that, we just wanted to do it. It was fun for us. We did Left Feels Right in the same mindset, which is a record that nobody really liked except us. We threw it up in the wind, and if it happened, it happened, and if not, that's fine. Was it calculated? Oh, we're going to go sell records in the country market? No. That's pretty... That'd be even obtuse for us to even consider the fact that, hey, we can just jump into another situation and say, we're going to sell records here. We're not that type of band, but we kind of fed our own vanity musically for us to do in this direction, and I thought that was kind of fun for us. Subsequently, it became very popular.
Well, what about that downturn in the music business? Major artists are diving out of the labels, all over the place at the moment. We've seen the Radiohead thing. How tied is Bon Jovi to the major label teat these days?
We're still with a major label, but we could see the writing on the wall. It's just it was a conglomerate machine that was invented many years ago, which in essence owned and manipulated bands, but also gave a band a chance by giving some front money, which is, again, recoupable. The company's always made a lot of money off it. And it got to a point where I think the prices of records were so dear for the buying public that, as soon as the internet came in, there's another avenue for people to listen to music. So you have to think out of the box now, and I think new bands especially, you can't go that way. You have to go and say, maybe you release your own thing and do it through the internet. And there's it's just a different way of thinking. You can't really follow the old rules. I think it's a dead soldier. It's just hanging on by threads.
Let's talk about a couple of the tracks on the album, because there's some very interesting collaborations. One with Big and Rich, the other one with Leanne Rimes. How did those two collaborations come about?
Being down there, you see the people day in, day out when you're down there. In the times we've been down here, struck up some nice friendships, and it was kind of fun to have people that live down there and to come in and write with and do some kind of music together. Again, we were doing it solely for ourselves, for fun, and that was a lot of fun to be able to do that. The collaboration. Anytime you could do that, we've done it live. We've played invited people from Elton John to Little Richard to guys from Led Zeppelin on stage with us, the Queen, and the jam sessions are superb, and fun, and it's one-offs. If you're at the show, you caught it.
Yeah.
But this was a chance to do something on vinyl, on CD.
On
tape,
cassette.
on cassette or something. I don't even know what to say anymore.
Yeah. John and Richie handle all the songwriting on the album, along with John Shanks and a couple of other writers. At which stage in the process do you get first to hear the songs?
As soon as they finish something on tape, it's usually a guitar and a vocal, and it's a rough spec of what's to be, and it's kind of like if you look at a lump of clay, it's not just a lump anymore. It has some kind of form. We come in and kind of make it a Bon Jovi song, the arrangements, and then you really kind of get into the tunes and work them, because they can go in any direction at that point. But the fact that you have the combination of guys in the band the way it is what forms the sound. And sometimes we've done 30, 40 songs for an album.
Wow.
And thrown a lot of them away. So in this sense, having two producers, so many writers, it honed down pretty good. Maybe there was 4 or 5 songs that were never recorded. But
so there must be that rarities album waiting to come out one day.
There's always stuff in the archives. Yeah. It was one of the reasons we released 100 Million Fans Can't Be Wrong, because there's really a lot of obscure stuff that just was laying around, and just for kicks, throw it out there.
What about with your side of the story? It's rare that we get to hear the Tico side of the story, and I know about your influences from Led Zeppelin and the Beatles, but on the same level, you also seem to put Elvin Jones and John Coltrane.
Yeah, well, I grew up with them.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my I was a jazz drummer, and that was my learning years. Miroslav Vidius from Weather Report, we'd hang together and play together. Miles Davis, there's King Curtis, guys from King Curtis's band like Willie Bridges. And I'm a kid that they kind of let me into their circle in Harlem, which my name was Cosmo Jones at the time. And it was my school of music. I saw the writing on the wall. It got to a point where I said, I'm going to be playing clubs 5 sets a night for the rest of my life. So I started doing more popular music after that, and then lending myself out to all kinds of music that were a little more popular. And I ended up here.
And came over to the dark side of rock and roll.
Rock and roll is being a kid that grew up with when the Beatles first came out, and having an instrument in my hand. I think they revolutionized the world musically. I mean, they did. They did, and I think everybody I was 12. And it's just I gotta play this stuff. It's too cool.
Yeah. Well, in the pre-Bon Jovi days, you played with so many people. I'll just name drop a few names. You tell me what you did with them. Chuck Berry.
Yeah, I did some gigs with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't pay very well, but it was good. But he's an icon. It's like, and you get a bass player and a drummer. He would grab guys on the road, different guys. He wouldn't travel with a band. And a friend of mine, Gary Zykes, and myself, we played with him. It was kind of fun because he just ran in, didn't even tune up.
Yeah.
Just would.
I guess everyone knows the songs, don't they?
Just jump in there and play it and give you $100. Thank you very much. And see, you want to come to this other show? Okay.
What about Alice Cooper?
Alice is an old friend. He's a guy with a lot of musical history. And subsequently being able to play on some of his stuff, because we have a lot in common. I think he's just a little older than me, but he's been to so many places, and the camaraderie we've had through golf, and as friends, to be asked to do some songs on this record is nice. It's a nice perk.
What about Cher?
Yeah, same thing. That was kind of strange. She already had an album, and I got called in to redo the single. So they erased all the drums are on her, and the track was done, and I kind of just made it a little more rockier, a little more intense for radio. And she was a lot of fun to work with.
Wow, what song was that?
I don't remember. I did several songs with her, but I don't remember the song.
Yeah.
And then subsequently, Richie was dating her for a while.
When we talk about Tico as an artist, it's not just an artist in a musician sense. You are also a painter, and that's been quite successful, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I did that since I was 5 years
Wow.
old. I grew up in New York City, and music kind of art to the wayside, because it was a lot cooler to play music than it was to paint.
Yeah.
But it afforded me a chance to go back in the 90s and start doing some aggressive painting in shows around the world. and people seem to like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they say reminiscent of German Expressionist painters of the 30s. Is that an accurate description?
That's what they say. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a nice compliment. You know, that's Munch and Bacon, and guys like that. I think it's nice. I think because of the color specs that I use. One thing nice about art is you could paint anything you want and not get arrested for it.
Yeah.
So I stayed out of jail that way.
Well, I tell you what, if German Expressionist painters of the 30s ever comes up on Jeopardy, you're sure that we hope we're sitting next to you when that happens. I guess, being a member of Bon Jovi and having the rock and roll lifestyle you've had over the years has meant that, there's some pretty high circles you get to move around in. I was reading, Donald Trump was a wedding of yours once.
One of my weddings.
Is that but is that like the circle of people you were hanging around with or still hang around with?
I don't really hang with Donald too much because he became just a star in himself.
Yeah.
But you meet a lot of interesting people and in this business, and oddly enough, I got to attribute to golf too. Willie Nelson got me into the game of golf, and through golf, I probably met some of the nicest and people in the world, and that I would never meet through my industry of music. And they're leaders of industry worldwide, and just some incredible conversations over dinner because of it. So yeah, you start meeting all these people that normally they would not invite you over for a barbecue, but because you have something in common, whether it's golf and then music, and it kind of works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just sort of picturing the Donald Trump there, and there's Tico and there's Willie, and it's quite a party.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It is pretty cool. I mean, still kiss myself. Pinch myself, I should say.
Yeah. Let's go back to those very first two Bon Jovi albums, the self-titled debut and also 700 Degrees Fahrenheit, which were mildly successful in the US. Nowhere near as big as what...
You're being kind.
Yeah. But they, one of them got to 41, the other one got, top 40. So, did you think at the time that was as big as it was ever going to get?
No, I mean, look, when we started the band, we were smart enough. We had a manager that was also very smart to put us out worldwide and support anybody. And our slogan was we'd play a pay toilet and use our own dime. And literally played worldwide. And because of that, it kept seasoning the band live. And got to a point where the writing got better. And, of course, bringing for the first time some outside writing. Desmond Child was key in that, which was, for some reason, it helped the synergy. And thus came out Slippery When Wet, which was our biggest album to date, I think. But it changed. At that time, we were ready after two albums to start making a move and found our sound.
So did you have high expectations for Slippery When Wet as it was being recorded?
It was one of his fastest records recorded. I mean, we did the rhythm tracks in 3 days. I mean, it was fast. We had aspirations for every record. I think everybody does. You don't know. You don't really. There's no way you could pinpoint and say, I'm just going to go be here. No, but it just hit a nerve, and it was the right time and the right place in the world that people just seemed to latch onto it and really like it. And so we were shocked more than anything, and surprised.
Yeah.
Pleasantly surprised.
But it continued with New Jersey, and it continued with Keep the Faith.
Because we had our sound now.
Yeah.
Now we were able to cultivate it, and we've always been known to work hard and tour hard and not to really take anything for granted. And I guess because of that, we've crossed over generations, and we have 3 generations now. So our audience is 12 to 65, which is unique, to be able to come up with something that's fresh for young ears. And I wish I knew what the secret was. Nobody really knows in the band. It's just trying to be as current as possible, listen to what's out there, use the best people to be the outer ear producer, and work hard, and throw it up, see if it sticks.
Yeah, and then I guess we get to the 21st century, and pardon the pun, but we bounce into the 21st century with similar success. Have a Nice Day then comes along after that, another number 2 album in the US. And I guess, at that point, Bon Jovi became the heritage act that you are today.
Well, it was another chapter, the end of a chapter, beginning of another one to be able to continue, and it's nice to pass the 80s. The 90s were a little tough for everybody, I think, because in the U.S. the musical movement was so drastic and so anti-established, meant musically, that and the DJs came in, that a lot of clubs closed down. There was no places for musicians to play and jam and banter with each other. So it was a dark period. And then came the 21st century, which I think opened up, and you saw a lot more music come from it. But you see, if you notice, bands now are taking stock in the music that was from the 60s and 70s and 80s and taking that in, and now they have a new voice with that. So we were lucky enough to be part of that.
Yeah. Do you consider yourself on the same level as, say, the Stones and McCartney?
We're younger. I think show-wise, probably. We do the same numbers, if not more. Same shows. They're the Stones are the best in the world, in my opinion. They're the guys you aspire, age-wise, you can continue forever. And they're the benchmark. Stones are one of the greatest bands in the world. I mean, it wouldn't behoove me to say that we're equal to them in any form, but our fans will probably think so.
What about Eagles and Van Halen?
Different thing. I mean, how do you compare yourself to either one of them?
Well, I guess the industry compares itself on ticket sales or record sales, doesn't it? How do you compare your success?
We sell quite a few more concerts and records, and where the Stones will do 2 Wembley stadiums, we'll do 3. That doesn't make you better, though. It's just they've been around a long time too. But I guess we're blessed and we're thankful that we can still carry that fan base to fill up places like that.
So how do you gauge when it's been successful and when it hasn't been?
Well, ticket sales. If you're sold out, you've done well. We had a little problem with the pirating of records. People weren't buying records, and we're going, "Jeez, we're over." But then we put the shows on sale, and they're all sold out. So we go, "Oh, we get it." It's really not. You can't gauge. You used to be able to gauge it by record sales. You can't do that anymore. So you have to go buy hard tickets. Yeah.
Well, throw one final one at you. Songs "Wanted Dead or Alive" and "Living on a Prayer," I guess, are essential live songs in the shows. Every gig. Every gig.
We try to do a little bit from every year, in our shows, and that's why usually they're 2.5 to 2 to 3 sometimes. Just to give everybody. There's nothing worse than going to a concert and not hearing a classic song that you grew up with. So we try to throw them all in there, as many as possible, plus new stuff.
Do you ever get sick of performing any of those songs?
No, because it's different every day. I mean, you appreciate the value of it and you have fun with it. Of course, you feel different every time you play. And we change our sets every day. It's not the same, so it keeps it fresh for us.
Yeah. Plans for another album?
Yeah, but we're not thinking about it.
Not thinking about it? There's no songs yet?
No, we might do a little greatest hits out before that with some new songs.
Yeah.
Too fresh. I mean, this is the beginning of although we've toured Canada and done 10 shows in New Jersey, and we just did Japan, now Australia. We'll do the United States, all of Europe, and some more shows in America, maybe South America, before we're finished, before we start another record.
But it's probably been the most prolific time Bon Jovi has ever had. 4 albums so far since 2000.
That's funny. We didn't expect to do this.
Yeah.
It was, in the back of our minds, we thought we'd do a record, throw it out there, and have some time off, and then do some spot shows here and there. But because of the reality of success of it, we said, "Geez, we gotta start touring. We want to hear this." So we did. We went right back in because we only finished last August. We started the record in October. Finished it by December. In January, already we started doing shows, and it went quick. It came quick. You think to us it feels quick anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Tico, we've enjoyed seeing the band when you're in your 30s and your 40s and your 50s, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you in the 60s, 70s, and 80s as well.
God willing.
Thanks for joining us. Great to talk to you.
Thank you so much.